yourself a toothbrush.
And we're live from the Box to Box Radio podcast. I am Travis Carmichael, usually the host of the Away Leg, but today, lads, I'm the real host because we need 1 second of silence. Ready? Okay, that's enough. Mason Carmichael is out, our beloved patriarch, ACL surgery. Definitely needs to get better from that. So he's out for today, and we want him to get feeling better. If you want to reach out to him on our Instagram and Facebook and Twitter to give him well wishes, again, our Twitter is at B_B_radio. Facebook is Box to Box Radio. Instagram is Box to Box _radio. And you can always email us at 90min@boxtoboxradio.com. Folks, it is a privilege as I am sitting here with two gentlemen that, first off, to my right, the most gorgeous man to ever exist. Producer Chris is on the mic. Producer Chris, how you doing?
I do appreciate you guys having me on, even though I botch it every single time with Hudson Odoi.
Oh, Producer Chris, the fans love you. They're screaming for you, Producer Chris. And then a really special moment across from me on the show for the first time ever is my good buddy, Travis Aday.
Hello.
How you doing,
bud?
bud?
Here. Doing well. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, Travis, longtime friend of mine, fellow goalkeeper.
GK Union.
GK Union. Trav, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I graduated college in December. I played 4 years at UMHB, just a little north of here, in Belton. And yeah, I've been Dallas fan since 2005 when the stadium opened, and a big MLS fan. And yeah, just happy to be here.
Yeah, man. Also, Dallas Till I Die. Love that. Love to have you on the show. Like I said, lifelong friend, big time listener, and we got tired of buying him jerseys for answering all of our questions, right? So we'd love to have him on the show. We're going to go ahead and kick it off with some MLS action this week. We're going to scan through a lot of games, but first, the big news coming out of Colorado. Anthony Hudson obviously had a very interesting press conference. Head coach of the Colorado Rapids said a few interesting things, and oh, what do you know? Lo and behold, he is fired. He got sacked. He's no longer the manager. Forward legend for the club, Connor Casey, is now the interim coach. We'll see how that goes. Trav, what were your thoughts on this and kind of the press conference and everything that happened?
You know, I thought all of his takes in the press conference were accurate.
I agree.
But, you know, you can't say that publicly. That has to be a behind closed doors locker room talk with the ownership and with the players. And with guys like Feilhaber and Acosta and Kamara, veterans in this league, and then Tim Howard, arguably the best goalkeeper to play for the U.S., although he's a little washed now, you can't throw those guys under the bus publicly. So anyway, but 8 wins in, what was it, 43 matches?
43 games, 8 wins.
43 matches. Yeah, I think it was a long time coming for him to go.
That almost sounds like Travis's away leg victories.
Easy. I'm the king of the away leg. You be quiet. So this one, it comes off the back of an Atlanta United beat Colorado, a Colorado loss in Atlanta. They lost 1-0, a goal by Julian Gressel in the 74th minute. 1-0, not a bad result. Colorado's struggling. They tactically, I feel, got it right. They got really unlucky. But for those of you who kind of didn't watch the press conference, he came out after the game and said, it's a team of two classes. We don't have the class to compete in this league because the owners don't want to spend money on a designated players for forwards. Basically saying Tim Howard is the only designated player and he's not that good, and that we are a relegation team and we have been a relegation team for years. It makes it really difficult to be around in this league when you turn the players against you.
How much does a designated player cost? What is the max?
Oh, man.
Know.
Producer
I really
Chris, that is a very so...
I mean, for people that don't watch the MLS, they don't know what.
For people that don't watch the MLS, it's a very complicated system of you have to
MLS.
Okay, Travis, do it.
It's MLS, not the MLS. But
That's it. That's you stop the show for that. That's it. You're not going to explain the DP rule for those following at home. I figured you got it in the bag.
For the DP rule, there's actually no max for DPs. It's a minimum threshold, and I don't really know exactly what it is.
I don't know the number.
But anyway, yeah, and I can Google that real quick. But anyway, it's for certain players that meet a certain threshold. Each team is allowed a maximum of 3.
Yes.
And those players don't count against your cap. Now with the new integration of targeted allocation money, teams are allowed to stretch their budget a little bit more and buy players down with that TAM money. But yeah, that's what DPs are in MLS.
Man, that was exquisite. I love that. Again, DP rule, very complicated, very complex. We can talk about it for ages. Essentially, he's saying they're not good enough. They don't have the money to buy players, and it's not his fault, which in reality, deal with it. Excuses, deal with it. Don't turn your team against you. I agree with everything he said. Say it in the locker room. Don't say it in front of the media.
Exactly.
In American soccer, if you call out the ownership for not spending money, you will be fired, guy. And guess what? He doesn't have a job. So there's that. I mean, some interesting other games in the league. The Loons tied LA Galaxy 0-0. Interesting one there. Seattle Sounders midweek tied San Jose 2-2. Shea Salinas with a brace. Outstanding there. The dude just doesn't age. We go to NYC versus Orlando. That one was 1-1. Portland Timbers versus Toronto FC in Toronto. Portland get the result. Did you catch any of that game,
First
man?
win of the season. Yeah, I did.
That was, man, some good goals.
Oh, I know. Jeremy Abobasi's winner was incredible.
It was good. I really, really liked the volley there at the start of the game. That was pretty incredible as well. Some good goals in that one. But like Trav said, Jeremy Abobasi gets the game winner 2-1 there. FC Dallas versus San Jose. San Jose, 2 games in a week. They travel to Dallas. Tie 0-0. That's a bit disappointing for Dallas. Thought at Fortress Frisco they'd do a little better. Vancouver Whitecaps and Philadelphia Union 1-1. Obviously, Atlanta, Colorado 1-0. Atlanta, like we talked about the press conference there, that ended up getting Anthony Hudson fired. New York Red Bulls finally getting a win versus Cincinnati. They play at home and they get a good win there. The Dynamo go 2-0 against Columbus Crew. And now, this was the game of the week. SKC versus the New England Revolution.
The 8-goal thriller.
8-goal, 2 red card, absolute thriller. Yeah, the game kicks off pretty early. Caicedo gets one for New England. The man who doesn't score scores. Christian Nemeth, who when he's on, he's on. When he's not on, he is not on. In the 35th minute, Caicedo takes New England up 2-1. Aguadillo takes New England up 3-1. If you're Friedel at halftime, speaking of other guys who calls out his players, if you're Brad Friedel at halftime, you're thinking 3-1 up. Surely it's in the bag.
You know, you would think so, but given the New England Revs' history this season, not looking likely.
Oh, I'm so glad you said something because Brandon By, 55th minute, Gerso rounds him, hacks him, straight red, go down to 10 men. Gutierrez scores a penalty, which is the softest penalty you will ever see in your entire life. Runs by him, gets a little tug of the shoulder, barely. Player falls, dive, penalty. I disagree. On the other end, a penalty for New England. They miss the penalty. Jones follows up, scores the rebound. So they're up 4-2.
Not only did they miss the penalty, Tim Malia saved the initial spot kick and the rebound.
And the rebound. It was the third attempt.
You would not want to be in the locker room with Trav or I after that would happen in a game as a goalkeeper.
No, man, some heads would roll for sure. Yeah, really unlucky there. Some horrible defending from SKC. Gutierrez gets the third. It's 4-3, 10 men. New England are praying to hang on. And yet, in the 83rd minute, guess who? Christian Nemeth. Big header off a corner. 4-4. And then just to cap it off, New England, Julian Baba, ball's coming over his head, lets it bounce. Then on the touch, gives it away and goes in for a 2-footed tackle. Awful. Second yellow, he gets sent off there, but they ended up hanging on to get the 4-4 draw. This one to me is really interesting because you take a team like New England that has been good defensively but can't score goals, and now they score goals and they're not good defensively. I thought Cody Cropper was okay. Midweek, he gave up some really soft goals. But, man, New England was definitely one of the candidates for Wooden Spoon earlier in the show.
And I think they still are.
Oh, yeah. I mean, hard to argue, but here's my question. Is New England that bad? Is New England getting better? Is SKC that bad? Is it a combo? Like, what do you think it is?
I think it's a combo of SKC's CCL hangover,
Okay.
as well as New England being super streaky.
Okay, that's interesting. I mean, they did score some good goals.
They did.
Caicedo on the score sheet twice. Juan Aguadillo, they found him. I don't know where he was. He was hiding in a closet somewhere. Yeah, so like I said, great game there. New England finally kind of figured it out. Kind of almost wheels came off, but they figured it out. Kept the draw at least at SKC. SKC Champions League hangover, as Trav said. Montreal beat Chicago Fire on that horrendous, lumpy yellow field they play on at the up in Montreal. That's atrocious.
They desperately need to move.
Yeah, a little bit. Good atmosphere though. Hey. And then special moment here. Really, really special moment is a 82nd minute Angelo Rodriguez goal to put them 1-0 up, and they beat DC United. Minnesota beats DC 1-0 in Allianz Field. You know what that means, don't you, Trav?
First win.
Wonderwall. Wonderwall. There it is. I knew you'd get it. Minnesota FC, if you guys don't know, their new tradition in their stadium is when they win a game, they sing Wonderwall, and it is everything you could have possibly hoped it would be. It's unbelievable. They got like the black smoke going up and all the scarves up, and you got 5,000 tone deaf supporters singing Wonderwall. It is gorgeous, and they earned it. Great win there. Angelo Rodriguez really coming to form. Great hold up, man. Trav, you were talking a lot about this one before the pod. What'd you think about a thriller, a 1-1 thriller, Seattle versus LAFC?
They played last week.
They did.
LAFC thrashed Seattle 4-1 at home. At
great
the
performance.
Bank of California Stadium. I was thinking it might even be the reverse of that Seattle would just come out guns blazing and
tie on aggregate.
Knock them. and tie on aggregate in the second leg. You're right. It looked like for a second that it was going to be that way.
I believe for 45 seconds to be exact.
For 45 seconds to be exact, Jordan Morris picked off a poor back pass by the LAFC back line.
Yikes.
Went in on Tyler Miller, finished it back post, cool as you like. And then not too much later in the 4th minute, Carlos Vela, lo and behold, 11th goal of the season.
Shocking.
Tied it up in the 4th minute, and then there were no more goals after that.
That's insane.
One thing of note, 2 red cards for Seattle, and they still hung on, finished with 9 men. It actually just came out today that Christian Roldan's red card has been rescinded. He was sent off in pretty early in the 18th minute for violent conduct. His hands to the face of
violent
Atuesta.
Conduct. Quote.
Obviously, since it got rescinded today, I thought in the heat of the moment that was. I thought it was an accurate call for the ref. They're taught hands to face is automatic red. But anyway, the disciplinary committee looked at it again and. This getting taken back. So
yeah,
anyway,
I think if you look at that kind of whole collision, I think hands to the face is one thing. I think Roldan so Atuesta comes up and just shoves him as hard as he can.
Exactly.
And Roldan kind of gives him the push to go away.
Yeah.
And accidentally goes a little high and touches his cheek, and Atuesta just goes down like he's been shot.
Yeah.
I think it's really soft. I see your point. Hands to the face it could be, but if Roldan deserves red, Atuesta definitely deserves red. So I could have even seen double red going there.
Exactly.
But also, 18 minutes into the game, it kind of ruined the game, didn't it?
Yeah, it kind of did. Yeah, it kind of did. And initially, I thought Roldan maybe caught Atuesta just straight in the eye. But obviously, looking back at the disciplinary committee, they've taken that back. And then the other red card was really late. Kelvin Leerdam was issued a straight red card after VAR decision for taking, who was it, Rossi down?
It was Rossi, yep.
Yeah, right on the edge of the box, deep into stoppage time, and probably salvaged the draw for them. So I think that was a good tactical foul. But yeah, just a good 1-1 hard-fought match. So.
Yeah, and like I said, I think... And you nailed it. I mean, that's a game-saving tackle. Originally given a yellow card and a penalty, the referee Ted Uncle thought it was in the box. After VAR, they decided correctly that it was about 2 yards outside the box. And given outside the box, they've changed the ruling on that. Mm-hmm. So if it's outside the box, you can't do, or if it's outside the box, it's denial of a goal scoring opportunity. So that's why he changed it to straight red. Inside the box, they've now come out and said, well, it's kind of a catch-22. It's double punishment, penalty, and a red card.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it saved a point. It was in the 95th minute, gave a free kick right at the edge of the box, weren't able to do anything with it. Hey, 1-1 for Seattle is not a bad result, given a really soft red card to Roldan in the 18th minute.
And a little bit more on dogs, though. I believe they've changed the law to where it says if you attempt to go for the ball, it's only a yellow.
That's only in the 18, though.
Only in the 18, right.
Any denial of a goal scoring opportunity, because you saw it again at SKC. in New England, he took out Jerso about half field, but is the last man.
Exactly.
So anything in the 18, as long as you're going for the
Right.
ball instead of just a blatant hack. Speaking of more controversy, we kind of go to LA now, where where Real Salt Lake came in to visit. LA goes up 1-0 early. Real Salt Lake gets one in the 64th to tie it. Toya gets one, Donny Toya. And then in the 78th minute, shock. Zlatan Ibrahimovic scores the game winner. But that wasn't the headline of the story. Trav, what did you take away from this game?
Zlatan and Onuahu were going at it all game, apparently.
As many people do with Zlatan, it's kind of his thing.
Yeah, and he even said after the game, he likes to play angry. He likes to get his squad fired up. He likes to fire up himself. So there was a bit of a bust up. Him and Onuahu got tangled, and Onuahu ended up on the ground. No real repercussions from the ref there. Then Zlatan ices the game with the game winner. Then tries to go into the locker room to make good grace with Onuahu, offers apologies. Onuahu was not having it. There's a video after basically having to get dragged to the locker room because Onuahu won't accept his apology, and he's still really heated about it after the game. In my opinion, Onuahu, he's pretty soft for that, man. It's a game. Competitors compete, and at the end of the day, I think Zlatan got the best of him. 1, he got in his head. 2, game winner and the W. So, end of story. I think Zlatan is king for this. And Onuahu, some comments after the game, he was saying he should be fined and complaining about how he's the face of the league. I don't buy that anyway. Onuahu needs to grow up, and Zlatan, continues scoring goals.
Yeah.
I've always thought that a good fight during a game, kind of like a crash and during NASCAR. It's always,
He opens his mouth and this is what comes out. Holy cow.
We watch the NBA, we watch all the other sports, and it's exciting to get a good fight. I've always been a big fan of a good fight. I just have no problem with it. I mean, it brings out the competitive nature in every single person out on the field,
Exactly.
on the pitch, whatever you want to call it, on the courts, racetrack, whatever, whatever you want to use, any analogy you want to use. But I've always thought that a good fight, like the Leeds and Ashton Villa, that was
a riot. That was
a
not
riot.
a fight.
But
Can we
still.
go back to that?
No, we don't have
Do
time.
you
We'll
want-
talk
do
to
you-
be continued.
do
We're not
you wanna
talking
go
about that.
5 minutes, though?
Okay.
No 5 minutes? Away leg?
No, away leg.
Away
Yes,
leg?
away
Okay.
leg.
We'll bring it back on the away leg.
Okay.
I know he likes that one.
I do.
But, at the end of the day, I feel that a good fight is good for the game. Almost like Costa, Diego
Yeah,
Costa.
I mean, that's actually a pretty
almost-
good comparison, I think.
Yeah.
He's almost the same, but at the same time, you can only put up with it so much before you get tired of it. And there's been a few people that say, hey, he's a thug. What was his name?
Yeah. Onuahu.
No, the other word. Brad Friedel.
Brad Friedel.
Brad Friedel. He called him a thug, and he's always been that way. So he really isn't a thug. He's always been that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think thug is a
that's
strong
Zlatan.
term.
Yeah, that's Zlatan.
So look, here's the bottom line is, and for those of you that didn't know, he came out and during the game, it was always allegedly that he said, I'm going to break you, I'm going to hurt you, I'm going to stomp all over you, I'm better than, like, all this stuff, right? Which, to be fair, I mean, it's not like he used, any stupid things and call them out on a personal level. I understand the threat to injure, but look, it's a sport. Hashtag it's a sport. But like you have to compete. Like you have to, like, things are said in the heat of battle. Now, as long as he doesn't cross the line, obviously, like, let's get something.
Don't cross the line.
Yeah, don't cross the easy there, MLS. But let's get something straight. Like there's certainly a line in terms of, like, anything racial or in terms of, sexual orientation or like
Exactly.
or like bringing someone's family into it. Like those are certain things from a cultural norm, and he didn't. So like, there's going to be trash talk. It's a part of the game.
Exactly.
And like, if you can't handle that, it's always funny how the mediocre call the mighty, he's in like, look,
Exactly.
he
a
beat you
cop-out.
on the day. Stop talking. You're making excuses. Like, I think it's soft. I agree with Trav. I agree with producer Chris. Soft. Yeah. I mean, that's pretty much all the time we have for MLS, man. I think, like we said, we covered a lot there. I mean, any last second thoughts on MLS before we move on, guys?
There was one thing I wanted to bring up about,
go on.
about San Jose. Man, they are just crazy fit. Whatever Almeida's doing, man, I've never seen a team come into Dallas, 2:00 kickoff in the heat of the day, and it's
Fortress Frisco, baby.
and it's not even July yet, and they just ran for days into the 90th minute, and man, They definitely walked away with a 0-0 draw that felt like a win for them.
I mean, 2-2 against Seattle, 0-0 against FC Dallas. The league is on notice that.
That's a pretty solid.
I mean,
solid
those are
week.
two good away draws.
And playing a man-to-man style that is very rarely seen.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. I think there's a lot of good action there. I think SKC has pulled themselves out of the race, or I'm sorry, San Jose has pulled themselves out of the race for Wooden Spoon. New England's still the favorite. Guys, we're going to move on here.
I don't know. I think you're the favorite for a wooden spoon on an away leg.
Thanks, producer Chris. Anyway, ignoring that weak, ice cold take, we're moving on to the Champions League. I'm here all week. So, first game of the week was Tottenham Ajax. A lot of buzz on this one. Weren't sure how it's going to go. It was interesting to say the least. So, man, Tottenham struggled. Tottenham, here was the lineup. They had Lloris, they played Trippier, they played Rose, Alderweireld, Vertonghen, Sanchez, Wanyama, Llorente, Dele Alli, Eriksson, and Lucas Moura in a kind of a weird 3-5-2, 5-3-2 with Llorente and Moura up front with 5 across the back line. Ajax came out in their 4-3-3 with Anua as the goalkeeper, Vermette, De Ligt, Van de Beek, Neres, Tadic, Blind, Schoen, De Jong, Zarek, and Tadic as well. So it was definitely an interesting style. I mean, in England, obviously Tottenham missing Son, and they're missing Harry Kane, their talisman. Trav, what did you see in this one?
You know, I'm usually not one to enjoy a possession style of soccer, football, excuse me.
Yeah, there you go, Bob Bradley.
Anyway, I really like watching Ajax play. I'm definitely a fan of the hashtag Play Your Kids, and I feel like they should have beaten Tottenham by more. They hit the post on one occasion, and they were just taking it to them for the whole 90 minutes. On the lone goal, there's a hint of offside, but I don't think so.
Yeah, VAR said no. So it was very close.
Yeah, it was still very close, and even then, you still couldn't really tell definitively. But I felt Lloris maybe he went to the ground a little bit too early on that goal.
Yeah, he went down really early for me.
Yeah, and that was kind of soft. But anyway, Tottenham definitely had their chances especially on set pieces, and which I feel are a huge part of the game. If you don't take advantage of your set pieces, you're not going to go very far.
See, I think, and obviously it changed things. So Vertonghen definitely got injured.
Yes,
we're not sure if it's like broken nose or concussion. It might be both, but goes up to a challenge with the goalkeeper. Gets, he's Batman, doesn't know quite where he is, who he is. Goes off, comes back on and plays, and then falls down again. Sissoko came on for him, so it kind of changed the system up a little bit. By that point, Van de Beek had already scored in the 15th minute to make it 1-0. Very good play. Man, I'll tell you what, I really like Ajax. I think, like you said, possession styles are not always the most attractive, but and Mason would be over the moon that I'm saying this, but they're passing and moving, specifically the movement off the ball. It's not movement just for movement's sake. It's very intelligent running off the ball.
Exactly.
And there's constant motion, so there are constant options.
They made him look slow. They made Tottenham look slow.
But to be fair,
it was wild.
To be fair, and I agree with you. Yeah. To be fair, Ajax actually, the league in Amsterdam, the Eredivisie, took the weekend off because Ajax was in the Champions League semifinal. They took the entire weekend off.
That is incredible. Tottenham
played 2 games, played a midweek game, played a weekend game. So, and obviously
no help from the FA there.
No. But I mean, people are not going to talk about it that much, but I think the key factor is Son. Son was not in this one. Obviously Harry Kane's injured, nothing you can do about that. But when you have Llorente up front, he's not going to run, which is okay because he's a big presence. It's not his job.
Right.
But like when you have Llorente, you have to serve the ball. And they didn't give enough services in. They didn't create enough chances from crosses. You would have liked to see Rose and Trippier kind of serve the ball a little bit more, and the makeshift kind of 3-5-2-ish, kind of a 5-3-2 as well.
So would you blame Pochettino?
No, I think he didn't have a choice. You don't have Song. You don't have Kane. How else are you going to play?
Well, why wouldn't you just for Llorente?
I mean, there's no other option really at striker.
You go wide. You go wide, you cross in. I mean, that's pretty much all you have.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying is I would have liked to see him do it more. The only time they played Llorente's feet, the only player getting in behind was Moura. You would have liked to see, when you have Song, he likes to run through the channels. Ali and Eriksson were just ghosts today. I mean, it wasn't very good. So great result for Ajax. But Tottenham's not done. I mean,
I don't think so.
Song comes back from suspension, yellow card suspension. He comes back in. Kane is still going to be there was rumors that Kane might be back. I highly doubt it, but you never know. So I don't know, man. They play later in the week. They play in Amsterdam. Trav, what's your score prediction?
Champions League semifinal. I think Kane guts it up.
You think he plays?
I think he comes back.
I think it's more of a hope than a reality. But anyway,
it might be a long shot. But anyway, I think the second leg is going to be a good game. You saw what Tottenham did away at the Etihad, and I think this game goes to at least extra time.
Wow.
Interesting. Producer Chris, you got a take on this? Or are you just going to sit there quietly and type on your computer?
No, I like
Edit the sounds.
I like typing.
Edit the sounds.
I like
Come on, give us a pick. Give us a take. Just give us a score. Just throw a dart at a dartboard and give us a score.
I'm not going to do what Mason does, and I'm not going to clearly not do what he
Penalties.
does. I give it a win. There's a win here.
2-1 Tottenham.
No,
Great shout.
no.
That's a great shout, Producer Chris.
But if
No.
Tottenham wins 1-0, then it does go to penalties.
Yeah, but I don't
Well, it
think
goes to extra
Tottenham.
time.
I don't think Tottenham without their pieces win.
But Song comes back.
If Son comes back, regardless, I still think that away they're going to have a little bit of trouble scoring a goal. I mean, regardless of whether you have Song, Ajax is Ajax right now.
Okay, fair enough.
There is nothing that you can say. When it comes to hashtag it's a sport, they're going to crush them when it comes to their speed, when it comes to their pass and move, right? We talked about this
Pass
last time.
move, fabric of the game. Shout out to Mason Carmichael.
Exactly. So they're going to kill him. They're just
Score?
going to kill him. 1-1.
Okay, so Ajax goes through 2-1
Ajax is still
aggregate.
going to win, yes.
Okay, excellent. 2-1 Tottenham, braced by Song. Song takes his team through to the Champions League final with the away goals rule. That's my prediction.
It's written in stone.
It's written, yeah. And I'm going to move on very quickly from that one so that people cannot give me flack about it. Because, boys, we move on to my next game where I might very quickly be rapidly eating my words because Lionel Messi decided to show up.
Mr. 600.
Yeah. So this one was rough, man. It ended 3-0 Barcelona at the Camp Nou. Ter Stegen in goal. PK played in the middle. Jordi Alba was wide on the left. You had Sergio Roberto. You had Lenglet at center back. Which he was preferred over Umtiti, which was a little bit interesting. Obviously, in the middle, you had Busquets at the 6. Hate Busquets. Rakitic. You had Vidal in the middle. I had a very interesting stat about Vidal the other day. Like the last 12 seasons, he's won the league title. Like everywhere he's gone, every single year he's won the league title. He won at Juventus, he won at Bayern Munich, he won at Barcelona. So every season in the past, I think decade, he's won the league wherever he's been.
Wow.
So sign Vidal and you'll win the league apparently. Obviously,
decorated.
The front three in this one, Suarez played down the middle, Coutinho on the left, Messi on the right. We'll get to kind of how they altered that here in a second. With Liverpool, this is interesting because I wasn't happy about some of the selections they made. They played Alisson in goal. They played Joe Gomez at right back over Trent Alexander-Arnold, and it was Joe Gomez's first game back from a broken leg. It's his first game back in the Champions League at Barcelona. You throw him in the 11 at right back.
Good luck.
I mean,
just deal with it.
That's about how it looked. In the middle, obviously, you had Virgil van Dijk and Matip. And out left, you had Robertson, who I felt was pretty good. In the middle of the park, you had Milner. You had Keita, which we'll get to in a minute. And you also have Fabinho. The front three on the wide right was Mane, left was Salah, and playing as a false 9 was Jorginho Wijnaldum over Bobby Firmino, which I get it. The concept from Liverpool was to play a false 9, was to have him drop in just in between Busquets and the center backs to try to deny service to Busquets, essentially denying service to Messi. Mm-hmm. That's kind of how it works is they'll find Busquets, who will find Rakitic or Vidal, and then the front three will rotate, and that's how they provide service to Messi. The thought was if they could cut that service off, they make Messi come in to Fabinho, and Fabinho could deal with him further away from the goal. I disagree. I think you could have Bobby Firmino do the exact same job, and also he's more threatening in goal. When he came on late, it was already 3-0, but he came on late, and he should have scored and then Mo Salah from about 8 yards, no goalkeeper in the goal, hits the post, would have changed the tie completely. But this is so unfortunate because Liverpool played so well. Keita got injured real early, and Jordan Henderson came on, and Jordan Henderson just wasn't the same. I don't think he was at fault for any of the goals per se, but it's just not like having Keita in the middle. I mean, I think one of the announcers said it during the game. It said, 3-0 is not the story of the game. It's the fact of the game. And the fact of the game is that the score ended 3-0, but the story of the game tells so much more. Yeah. The reality is, Suarez scored really early here. He scored in the 26th minute. Yep. It was a delightful ball whipped in by Jordi Alba. Jordi Alba just, Hendo gives him a little bit of space. Jordi Alba just whips it in between the center back. Suarez makes an unbelievable run and knocks it home. And then in the 75th minute, Messi scores again. He scores his first of two. Weird kind of shot off the crossbar from Suarez. It falls to Messi, who scores probably the easiest goal he's ever scored in his life. Just a nice, easy tap in. And then, boys, in the 82nd minute, madre mia, oh my goodness gracious, Messi with potentially the goal of the year. What a free kick. 30 yards. He puts it, curls it right over Alisson. I don't think he could have put it anywhere better. That goal is sensational.
Has anybody seen the videos on YouTube?
Yeah.
From the stands?
Oh, yeah. It's legit.
Yeah. It is amazing.
No matter what angle you watch it, man, it is disgusting.
Yeah.
Messi is Messi. Bravo. So, man, this is such the unfortunate part is that Liverpool defended so well. They had 2 mental lapses where they lost their men and Barcelona capitalized, and then one just unbelievable free kick. The interesting thing tactically about Barcelona had a 4-3-3, but what it ended up doing in the first half to deal with the pressure was Coutinho ended up dropping in to play 4 in the middle. Messi slid higher, and they went a front 2, and Barcelona did something I've never seen them do before, Trav. They became a counterattack team, and that's how they won this game.
They did.
That free kick, man, that was incredible. That's just he couldn't have put it anywhere else.
I have not seen a ball placed more closely in the junction than
than
that strike right there. Liverpool a bit hard done by their mistakes, and then the masterclass of that free kick. I don't think there's any coming back for them in the second leg. Especially, I just
Bobby Firmino.
I just don't see it.
So it changes everything if Salah puts that one in, as hard as it is.
Yeah,
and
it does.
I'm not going to be one of the people that say that Mo Salah was a one-season wonder, because that's not true. He is unbelievable. He is world-class. But he's just not having – it's hard to have seasons like that where you're talking – people were calling him the third best player in the world behind Messi and Ronaldo, and it's hard to duplicate that consistently. You look at a lot of players that struggle to do it, and so he's not in the form he was last season, and last season Mo Salah gets that one and maybe one more.
And I'll go back to this, and I'll say this a million times. You get a little bit of film on somebody, and you watch them play for a couple of minutes, and you realize what makes them tick and what makes them go and what makes them move in certain directions, and you learn to defend these players. The only ones that can't be defended, Messi and Ronaldo. Other than that, everybody else in the world has their weaknesses, and they exploit Salah, and they're just making sure that Salah doesn't do his thing.
Fair enough. And I will go, and I'm only saying this because Mason isn't sitting next to me, because he would probably die of a heart attack of excitement. I will say this on the air, on record. Even though he gave up 3 goals, Virgil van Dijk is the best center back in the world. There were so many 1v1 duels against Messi where he just, he couldn't be bothered. It just steps in, boom, tackle, no problem, my ball. I don't really put him at fault for any of the goals. I think Matip was a little slow on the first goal. I think the second goal, it just hits the crossbar and bounces in an unlucky spot. Jordan Henderson didn't close down the cross on the first goal well enough, but man, he's so good, and it pains me because they just got so unlucky. So
I agree. Yeah.
Mason, if you're listening, there's you're happy. I said Liverpool, greatest defender. Anyway, I think he's outstanding. He's world class.
Better than Ramos?
Yes, this season, yeah, I think he surpassed him. Last season, no.
I agree.
Ramos has something that like Ronaldo, nobody else has in terms of he will do anything to win, and he's a competitor and he's a leader of men and da da da.
Yeah.
Van Dijk's just quality. Like for a guy his size to go 1v1 defensively against Messi, and even if you look in the international, like with the the League Cups they're doing now for international, you look at Netherlands versus France, and Mbappe's taking them on 1v1, and Mbappe gets stuff too. I mean, it's just like it's insane defensively how good he is. He's so intelligent, guys. Is there any hope for Liverpool?
It's a long shot. One, to score 3 goals and also to shut out Barcelona.
Yeah, the away goal factor is big. Like I said, Mo Salah, that would have changed everything.
Definitely. So I really don't see it. Maybe if they do get 3, then Barcelona's they're gonna at least get 1, and they're gonna go through.
Producer Chris, throw me a number. Point at the dartboard. Throw me a random number. See where it landed?
I'm older than you guys. So
Yeah, fair point.
my
Squinting.
eyesight,
He's squinting
my eyesight
here.
is bad.
The imaginary dartboard.
2-2.
Yikes, 5-2 on aggregate. Okay, fair enough. Lads, I've already gone for it once. Just going to swing for the fences again. It's going to be an all-England Champions League final. 4-0 Liverpool.
Incredible.
When you walk...
Football's coming home.
It's coming home to the Champions League final. Liverpool are going to press. They're going to get 4 goals. Don't at me. Please at me. Please let me know if you think I'm an idiot.
I hope you are right.
I hope so too. Please call me out on social media. Again, Twitter, B_B_radio. Facebook, Box to Box Radio. Instagram, Box to Box_radio. And you can email us at 90min@boxtoboxradio.com. Please let us know what you think about our takes, our predictions. And yeah, man, let us know. It's going to be some really good soccer next week. Yeah, guys, moving on. We do have a mailbag question. So this question comes from Diego from Leander. He wrote the show. So I want to get your opinion on this, Trav. I'm going to put you under the fire as a new pundit. We're not hosts, as Mason says, because you're not hosting the show. As a new pundit on Box to Box Radio, test your worth. Here's what Diego had to say. He says, what do you think about the special up-and-coming youth Mexican and U.S. national team players? What does this mean for the rivalry as a whole and their world rankings? Discuss.
Well, outside of maybe Yanez and Jonathan Gonzalez, I don't really know too much about the Mexican youth. As far as the American youth, I think the future is very bright. We have Weston McKennie, Christian Pulisic, Kellen Acosta if he gets his stuff together in Colorado in the Mile High City.
Hey, he's not class enough.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Shout out Anthony Hudson looking for a new job.
I would love to see him back in the national team, but I think his time is done. He's just going to be an average MLS journeyman now.
Yikes.
Anyway, Tyler Adams, Matt Miazga, the list goes on. I think in the long term, I think that the U.S. will be better in the long run. These players growing up, they've played against the Mexican youth teams all their lives growing up in the Dallas Cup and the GA Cup and all these different tournaments that are going on. I really think that the bright side is on the U.S.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I think it's going to be interesting to see. Like you said, Diego Lainez is an unbelievable talent. My focus when I think of Mexican youth, I think of Chucky Lozano. I think that kid is unbelievable,
incredible.
I
yes,
think
agree.
he is kind of their version of our, Christian Pulisic. I think Weston McKennie obviously is a big name. Tyler Adams is a big name. Josh Sargent is going to be good. Tim Way is going to be good.
Yeah,
but the most important thing, and I'll go with this for Diego, I think it's going to revitalize the rivalry, because I think the rivalry a long time ago was like back with Landon Donovan was like very hate filled.
Oh yeah,
but almost, in a good way, I would guess, maybe a bad way as well, but in a good way in the sense that it was when they played each other, you had to stop what you're doing, you have to watch the game.
Oh yeah, I remember there was one game, I believe Bocanegra scored the winner on a diving header, and Tim Howard got a boot to the chest at one point. The guys were just going at it. It was just a clash for the ages, and that's really the last time that I remember that it was really a true grit match, and that was probably back in,
Bocanegra playing, that was a while back.
2011. I don't want to date it exactly, but it's been a while that this rivalry has been a true rivalry. I think, obviously, with us missing the World Cup, Mexico has had the better of us for the past 4 or 5 years. But yeah, I'm excited to see the rebirth of this great geographical rivalry.
Yeah, I mean, I 100% agree. I think the rivalry has, been stagnant for a while, and I think it's going to definitely come out and,
So
Bring it up. Yeah.
I speak Spanish.
Oh, ¿hablas
I do-
español?
Hablo español.
Ah,
That's right.
sí.
Una cerveza más, por favor.
It's the only sentence I know.
That's the only
This
one he
guy.
knows is right. So Mexico does get a little bit more criticism. If you guys have ever watched, the European teams, get criticized on the news, it is exactly like that in Mexico. The biggest issue with the U.S., and this goes across the board, when it comes to media and social media and just news in general, Mexico gets trashed. They replace their coaches a lot. Mm-hmm. They really do. So when they have these players come in, and a lot of them are new, they're about to start going into this new transition where, like you said, what was it, Chucky Lozano?
Chucky Lozano,
yeah. There is a new replacement for Ochoa. He's coming through. I forget it. I don't know any of these guys' names because I don't know that.
Because he is the producer.
I am the producer. So you can hate me as much as you want when I don't know these guys' names, but there's a slew of replacements for all of these guys. Just like there was a slew of replacements for the U.S. men's national team.
Right.
But right now, the Mexican team has a slew of replacements that are just ready to go. And the thing with the Mexican team is that I think that they're probably going to have a more successful transition into that because there's more pressure on them.
Yeah.
There's always more pressure on them, and I agree with that pressure. I wish that was here. It would make this sport here and the national team even better, because they would require them to bring in the best coaches. They would require them to pay the players a little bit more to, do their things. I mean, just in general, across the board, it would just make them that much better.
Yeah, and I mean, this is an interesting thing for me and I agree with you 100%. It's the cultural aspect where Mexico is to the point where they live, breathe, die Mexican football. And even where, Liga MX is bigger than MLS in terms of quality. I mean, you look at, we'll talk about the Champions League final here maybe next week, but you look at that, it's 2 Mexican teams in the Champions League final, CONCACAF Champions League final. And MLS is growing. We're trending upward. The culture, we're trying to start this movement as well, or add to the movement rather, of trying to get the culture. Like, I want to hold the players accountable. I want to hold the coaching staff accountable. There's no way that, both these teams shouldn't compete on the world stage. But I think the biggest point, and Travis, you can talk a little bit about this, is moving forward, it's going to be less about young talent from Mexico, young talent from U.S., and more about the shared young talent. Because already you can see there are players growing up that are Mexican-born that come to the U.S. and play in the development leagues for a little bit, and then they have dual citizenship. And that choice is a massive choice. And there have been players that do both sides of that equation.
Yeah, so anyway, we've seen a ton of players go on both sides with Jesse Gonzalez choosing the U.S. Kind of haphazardly. He kind of got pulled into the Gold Cup and got cap-tied almost by accident, I think. But then we've also seen the other side of not so successful turnouts with Edgar Castillo and what's the other one? Jose Francisco Torres, who was
Corona is on that list as well,
awful.
I think.
Yeah.
Maybe Orozco Fiscal.
Yeah. Willie Yarborough as well, the goalkeeper that didn't really pan out. So we've seen both sides of that, and I guess now, with Gonzalez, Jonathan Gonzalez choosing Mexico.
That was a big loss for the U.S. by the way, too. This kid is really good.
Yeah, exactly. And I guess now we're kind of getting to the decade where we're going to see the product of those losses, and I can't really recall any players that, aside from Gonzalez, that have chosen Mexico over the U.S., but I know there's probably a ton on both sides. But I'm excited to see the outcomes of all that.
Yeah, I mean, that's a battle we got to watch. Also, as we get younger and younger, you were talking a little bit off the show to watch Dallas Cup and Generation Adidas Cup. Shout out to Seattle Sounders. Their youth just won the Generation Adidas Cup. Unbelievable tournament. Yeah. Some teams from Mexico, some teams from all over came in. That's a great squad, man.
It's the first MLS champion in the Champions Division.
That's crazy.
Seattle Sounders. And also Seattle Sounders just signed today I forget his name. He's
Young homegrown kid. Yeah.
Yeah, he scored like 8 goals in the 6 games or something, whatever it was. But anyway, yeah, I think the youth in the U.S. is on the rise, and obviously the result of winning such a big tournament like the GA Cup in the Champions Division is a big sign of success.
Absolutely.
I completely agree with you stating that the U.S. is on the rise. Pulisic, perfect example.
Yeah.
Perfect example.
Definitely a marquee player that's,
Exactly.
under the age of 23, 24. Yeah. So guys, to answer Diego's last part of the question, from a world ranking standpoint, I don't think it's unrealistic for both teams in the next 3 to 5 years to be in the top 10 in the world. I don't think it's unrealistic. Now, saying in the next 3 to 5 years they're going to win a World Cup is very unrealistic for me. But to be in the top 10 ranking wise, I think is very doable. Here's the top 10 for you right now, according to FIFA World Rankings as we speak. Number 1 is Belgium. Number 2 is France. 3 is Brazil. 4, England. 5, Croatia. 6, Uruguay. 7, Portugal. 8, Switzerland. Interesting. 9 is Spain. 10 is Denmark, and Mexico currently sits at 18th, just behind Italy and just ahead of Wales, and the U.S. is at 24th, just behind Senegal and just in front of Romania. That's very interesting.
That is interesting.
So yeah, 24th and 18th. I think it's doable in the
Not
next
too
3 to
far
5
off.
years.
Yeah.
So, Diego, to answer your question, that is where I see kind of the young talent, and I think it'll depend a lot on who kind of chooses what nationality, as you have a lot of dual nationals in this country within the youth fabric of our game. But that's the realistic goal is what I see. Guys, it's been great. Again, please write into us for the mailbag. We love to answer your questions, or if you have an away leg question, please let us know. Again, our Twitter is at @B_B_radio. Facebook is Box to Box Radio. Instagram, Box to Box _radio. And our email is 90min@boxtoboxradio.com. We are on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play Music, and soon, very soon, we hope, we will be on Pandora, and we're looking to start our own YouTube channel, which would be really cool. Producer Chris, to my right, thanks for getting mic'd up. And Travis, welcome to the show. You had a great first episode. Any final takes?
Just that I'm happy to be here, and I love being a part of this show. This has been a dream of mine since the early days of ETR, and back in 2009 when I first started watching it. So
As a producer, that's blasphemous.
Oh, we'll forgive him. It's fine. It's fine. First show. It's fine. It's fine.
I apologize. Anyway, yeah, great to be here. Great first show, and yeah, I'm hungry for more.
Yeah, man. Like Travis said, we have a big respect for Extra Time Radio, and also ESPN FC is where we get a lot of our inspiration from in terms of wanting to grow the game and to talk to people. So huge fans of you guys. If you haven't heard of Extra Time Radio or of ESPN FC, definitely check them out, guys. It's been fantastic. Thank you for bearing with me for hosting. We wish Mason a speedy recovery, and hope that he'll be back next week. And that's all we got for you. We'll see you next week.